Hello and welcome to The Big Fight. Just in case you thought that crazy season or the season for some rather irresponsible remarks was going to dry up after the elections, well, obviously we were wrong, because we continue to hear a whole series of remarks and comments being made and a series of actions being taken which really make you wonder as to which exactly is the direction that we're headed in. And also, some people are starting to question what they're saying, the silence of the government in coming out and speaking about it and condemning it. And on the other hand, we have people saying that all that's happening right now is that the opposition and the media is sensationalizing issues, is giving it communal colors, and is basically just whipping up hysteria. So what is the truth? What is actually happening with these series of incidents, just a handful of which I am going to be playing for you right now.
Her contribution to achievement of Telangana, her contribution for the Telangana statehood is nothing.
कभी तेलंगाना बोली नहीं, ये कैसा बोल रहे तुम? पाकिस्तान की शादी की बात नहीं है. कभी तेलंगाना मूवमेंट में थी क्या?
All Indians in Hindustan are Hindus, including I'm a Christian Hindu.
All right, so many strange remarks, many peculiar comments and actions. So joining us to debate all of this and discuss this and see where exactly we are going, I want to start off by welcoming Prem Shukla, who's the executive editor, Dopaher Ka Samna, going to be talking to us a little bit about what the Shiv Sena says. Nalin Kohli is with us right here in the studio, as is it's great to have with us Gardner Harris, who's the South Asia correspondent of the New York Times. Rashmi Kant joins us from the Congress Party. Shiv Viswanathan, one of our leading sociologists. Dr. Maqsood ul Hasan Kazmi, who is the chairman of the Imam Council of India, is joining us. And we also have with us Manish Tiwari, former Information and Broadcasting Minister, and Shaina NC. So a range of voices we're going to get to weigh in the next 45 to 50 minutes. Can I just start off first with you, Shuklaji? The immediate incident, obviously, that took place was this force feeding, which took place in the Maharashtra southern, an incident that really seems to have shocked the entire nation. We've got varying sort of responses coming in from the Shiv Sena. Why should there be a reluctance to say, look, it was a mistake, we are sorry for whatever happened, we were upset about the food, but if it came across as an attempt to interfere with somebody's religious sentiments, that's obviously shocking and we are sorry about it.
Our MP, Rajan Vichar, has already apologized for the incident, and it was not an incident of forced chapati given to that particular, I think that supervisor of the IRCTC.
It was false chapati. The case was that into his mouth. How much more force do you want?
No, it was not
in his
force.
Mouth. Is that not force feeding?
No, just they asked, please taste this food. You would not be able to eat this food, and we answered from last several days this type of inhygienic food. And from last 15 days, Shiv Sena MPs were protesting. They were trying to put their grievances to the resident commissioner, and resident commissioner was not listening to the pleadings of the member of parliament. So they were protesting there, and out of it, the incident is of 17th of July, and the news was leaked purposefully. It was given a communal color, and now it was said that it was a rosa of that person. If he was practicing rosa, why a person who was responsible for the taste of the food was posted at that place? Supervisor of IRCT is supposed to decide the quality of food.
Hang on,
if a person is practicing rosa, why he should be posted at that place?
Supposing tomorrow you had an incident, and I'm just asking, this is what a lot of people have been saying. Supposing you had another incident, and this is something which the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, for example, has said, what would have happened if there was somebody who was a vegetarian who is supervising a particular area and somebody goes and stuffs a piece of meat into his mouth? You would take that as something gravely objectionable, right? Wouldn't you?
Mr. Omar Abdullah is making
in the middle of
comment
Navratra
out
fast,
of context.
Somebody stuffs a piece of meat into somebody's mouth.
But no one was doing that. He was fasting. No one was doing that. He was fasting. It is afterthought. He has not said to anybody that I'm fasting. No one was doing that. He was a Muslim guy.
Mr. Prem Shukla is saying, and their Shiv Sena MP is saying that they were not aware of his name. But the tag on the person's uniform and the name
you can see the video, there is no tag. You can see the video.
These all facts
are puncturing their claim. There is no tag on his dress.
Are puncturing their claim that they Intentionally it was intentionally done. And
No,
when
not
the
at all,
person
not
himself
at all,
is
Maulana
saying,
Sahab.
sir,
We
I
practice
am
Hindutva,
Rosa,
but
I
we
am
have-
fasting.
we never-
Why
never
this
it was-
this Shiv
it-
Sena
it
MP
was not said, it was-
openly
it was
did
an
not
afterthought.
full-fledged apologize?
It was an afterthought.
Why
just
did
to
he
say
not
Mr.
apologize?
Bikin Malik.
Can I just say something? Hang on. It is possible.
No.
Dr. Kasmi, one second.
In
It is
this
possible.
situation also,
It is-
our MP Rajan Vichare has categorically apologized.
What he says is, I didn't see the name tag. I'm sorry if you, I didn't know he was a Muslim. I didn't see the name tag or I didn't pay attention to it. Now that I've realized that he was a Muslim and he was therefore on Rosa, then I had no intention to harm him and I'm apologizing. If he does that, is that good enough? Should we blame the matter?
It was.
I want to come to some broader issues. There is only one.
It was incident was on 17th of July. In the video footage shows when this person said, "Sir, I am fasting. Don't stuff food. Don't stuff
Just
fruit
show
in
me
my
the
mouth."
comment. He is saying
He
so.
did say
Show
nothing.
me the comment.
This
Have
Shiv
you
Sena
gotten that
MP,
audio? Have you gotten that audio
did say
clipping?
nothing. He
You-
only stood
Mr.
up.
Maulana
And
Sahab, I
at
think
that
you must be
point of
practicing
time,
Rosa.
if he
Please-
said, "I'm
please
sorry,"
don't say lies.
matter would not come up in this way.
Please,
in such a
please
way.
don't
Yes.
don't
When
say
the,
lies.
when the media,
you must be practicing Rosa.
took up this issue,
and-
this
and-
issue,
and
they
saying
came up
lies in,
and they came. We
lies
were not
during the
aware
Rosa
of
is
it.
also a crime.
Prem Shukla, actually what he says, but he's also right. If he just come on and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize you were fasting. I'm sorry." Matter would have ended.
Problem
That's
will
fine.
have
Everyone
solved.
can make a mistake.
No, he has apologized.
A bit later, if you ask me, this is not the real issue. It's also perhaps not the issue, and I'm going to show some pictures right now. In fact, we are seeing it. This is Sania Mirza, an interview to NDTV, actually breaking down in tears because people are questioning her Indianness, which again happened. And that time it was the BJP leader. In this case, you can say it was your ally, the Shiv Sena. Then there were the comments made in Goa by the Maharashtra Gomantak party. You can say, okay, that is also an ally, saying that Narendra Modi is going to make the country into a Hindu Rashtra. But you've had BJP MPs doing this too. What Ramesh Bhiduri said on the floor of Parliament were comments that I don't think Parliament has ever heard. And I think the question that people will now be asking the BJP is, isn't it time for someone to step forward and saying, look, can everyone stop these crazy comments? And that message should really come from the highest leadership in the party.
I'll go with it one by one. Let's start with Ramesh Bhiduri. Mr. Venkaiah Naidu did, and it's on the record of the House, pull him up for that, and a displeasure was expressed, and the words were expunged. So certainly it was not acceptable. That was not exactly how the party thinks about Parliament running. So if an MP in an individual capacity has acted in an errant way or said something that's unacceptable, the party acted. Number two, you raised about the question of Sania Mirza, which is again our MLA. I think that was insensitive too, and the party had distanced itself immediately because you really don't have the right to comment on anybody's marital life, and certainly not on an accomplished person. Why even accomplished? On anybody's. For that matter of fact, it was insensitive, not correct, and a lot has been spoken about it too. But the larger question is that are we seeing consistently, and I'd like to just go to the broader picture, examples of this across the country, and it's not about a party or two, is that, the inelegant use of words without understanding the implications of what happens in an age of media. So what is happening is also on the other side is, because we live in a media age, everything comes up, and rightfully, nothing wrong with that. A lot of things do get blown out of proportion, and there lies a risk. And I'll give you a comment with a lot of care. I want to say it carefully because it's sensitive. I do not personally like the way we are approaching every incident in a communal tone. Muslim techie dies of this. Why Hindu or Muslim techie dies? A techie is a human being first, an Indian, and the rights are equal. So any human being against whom an act has happened, force feeding, if you are taking it in that, Rosa or Navratri or Shravan fast, whatever, if it's done, it's a human being first and an Indian. So what my concern is, when we start taking it down this route, we are also adding somewhere to a little risky area of how people react.
Looking at it this way, we are communalizing.
Yes, and I'm worried about it, and I'll tell you why. Because from a rape is a rape against a lady. So are we now going to start looking at all of this?
Hang on.
So it's risky. I'm just making a point.
That's true, but the communal touch comes in some areas for the simple reason it's not understanding why. Because the Shiv Sena has a certain history.
It was a lack of civil behavior, and Mr. Vichare, I heard that might also, yet we say, they acknowledge also the situation went out of control. They had their own agitation. It was an inelegant way of probably going about it, but the matter went ahead with a communal tone, and that's risky.
Okay, are we over communalizing these issues?
There's a pattern to it. Let us not trivialize it by saying there's one person. There were 11 members of parliament there. all of Lok Sabha, if they are talking about the time at 9:30 or 10:30, and they are saying that cameras were capturing it, certainly it was pre-planned. There are very few times that we see that cameramen are there in Amara.
No, but that's established.
Okay.
They did call the media out there to say we are protesting.
Okay,
the question is whether
hang on.
whether it was a deliberate act to
Absolutely,
insult somebody's religion. That's the question.
Now, coming to your question of deliberate act, it's taken them 7 days, and it's taken a lot of ingenuity on the part of Mr. Prem Shukla to say, well, he didn't realize he was a Muslim. I don't want to polarize it. I want this to be bipartisan. Why did it take them 7 days? In not one single debate was it ever said that they did not know he was a Muslim. He had a tag there. He said so openly. They might have, the cameras are all bought by them, so they can suddenly take the video out and say, hang on, this is the video, so therefore his name is not there. This is actually taking people for a gross ride. But like Nalin said, we need to come to the larger issue. What is the larger issue? The larger issue is what this gentleman said from the Shiv Sena is, and what Mr. Viduri said in the Lok Sabha is a repetition of what Mr. Giriraj Singh said during the elections. Except that this time it happened in the well of a house, where a member of parliament says that if you don't agree with it, go to Pakistan.
You're saying it's part of a continuing.
No, you're talking about the fact. Then the Goa minister says yesterday, now a deputy chief minister from Goa says that Mr. Modi is going to make it a Hindu Rashtra. And let me just say one more thing, because before you take this away from me, the BJP constitution says the party shall bear.
Can I just come back to that?
It will take me 30 seconds. The party shall bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established and to the principles of socialism, secularism and democracy. The simple straightforward question is, all the utterances, and we can come to certain utterances later since you seem to be in a hurry, are these a replica of what they've said in the Constitution, and are these a replica of what the Prime Minister of India himself had promised, Constitution first?
Okay. A certain charge is coming from sections of the Congress party, which and others who are saying that this is what they are doing. They're doing it deliberately and they're going to keep on doing this deliberately, right? And the others saying, look, they are always, that's what Naren seems to be saying, that there's always crazy people who will make crazy remarks. He's not put it quite in that
Well,
manner.
I didn't put it the way you have really said.
Okay. There are people who will make crazy remarks. I'm okay, whatever. There are people who will make extreme remarks. Party disowns them and it's got nothing to do with us. Is it a deliberate pattern or no?
Look, let's first let's sanitize it in one way by removing the party element. Because otherwise they all tend to get to be predictable cameo roles, no matter how civilized. Just let's look at the event, the Shiv Sena MP. Look at the body language, utterly lumpen. Look at the nature of apology, abbreviated. If you look at it as a communication model, it's adding obscenity to injury. And that's where I disagree with you. I think closure is necessary. That's a point both of you have made. Civility is necessary. But I think the analysis is incomplete. You see, when Thackeray merely sent the telegram saying no religious insult was intended, that's not enough. It's wrong at two levels. There's an arrogance of the MP, and there is a certain indifference to ethnic religious sentiment. Both have to be looked at, and in that sense, the analysis here, while it asks for civic closure, is incomplete.
Okay. Gardner, is too much being made of something, or is there a pattern that we are starting to see which needs corrective levels at the highest, corrective action at the highest level?
So, yes, and let me sort of explain that. So, frankly, this government isn't radical or extreme enough. What is going on with this government? They're not announcing big bang reforms. They're not giving us, the media, anything to sort of write about. So of course we're writing about and concerned about relatively small things. It should not surprise anyone that the Shiv Sena is saying crazy things. That's what the Shiv Sena does, you know. So a lot of this stuff is sort of guys who have been out of power for a decade. They've now got power. They're not ready for prime time in a basic way, right? The Shiv Sena has been saying this kind of crazy things forever, but suddenly we pay attention to them because they've got power. They're going to figure this out, right? They're going gonna. This is sort of they're just getting the reins of power. They're going to figure out that they can't quite be as irresponsible now as they were in the past. But I think the real concern is that this government is not giving us, the media, anything important to write about because they're not doing anything. I mean, that's the real concern. This was a huge change for this country to bring in the BJP after all this time, bring in a fairly controversial figure, Narendra Modi. They did it because everyone thought dramatic changes had to come. And what has happened? I mean, I think we can still be cautiously optimistic, but the clock is ticking. Months are going by.
So hang on. I am just going to turn to Manish Tiwari and to China to just have a look at exactly as this. Is there something going wrong in the communication strategy? But Nalan, can I just throw that to you? I get that running a government and doing things is not something that you do in the glare of TV cameras, and you can't make a big announcement every single day. But at some level, the BJP, which came to power on the back of an absolutely fantastic exercise in communication and in positioning a person as Prime Minister who was one of the best communicators that we've ever had. I'm wondering whether somewhere in the last month or 2 months, you've taken your foot off the accelerator when it comes to communicating.
After coming to government, the party is going through its own transformation. We've had a new president. People are settling into their new tasks also. In terms of getting down with this well-oiled communication strategy, it'll fall in place.
But can I just say, what you seem to be saying is, yes, this is a good idea. We should be doing exactly
I didn't put
this,
it like
but
that.
we haven't got around to doing it yet.
I'm saying it in a different way. I'm saying it in a different way. You will see this because it's in terms of an evolution. What you're looking at is the peak or the climax of what you saw at the end of an election, and you're comparing it with the startup to governance. And your expectation level is probably a little over-enthusiastic, that this is how it should translate into governance. Governance, you will see in terms of action and communication.
Yes and no, Shiv.
It's a combination of noise and silence. The emphasis is on governance, as you have strictly emphasized. The problem is there's a politics of culture which brought the BJP into being. Modi, when campaigning, especially in the early period, unleashed a lot of grisly communal forces. Which Modi are we talking about? The PM or the contestant who unleashed a whole series of communal forces? I think one has to be careful because many of these forces that he unleashed are now being expressed. What I see, in fact, is an outgoing series of repressions in the culture, majoritarian, coming out. The BJP doesn't have the language to tackle it.
Dr. Kasmi?
No, yes, I just want to... Mr. Shiv is saying is very right. The doubts are being raised among the minds of the minorities from the very beginning. From the very beginning. The Pune incident happened. Sheikh, a young, was killed by mob because of his beard and topi. A BJP Lok Sabha MP came up saying that this is the repercussion, this is the reaction, and such reaction will keep coming in near future. Narendra Modi did say nothing. Togaria, Ashok Singhal, outrageous statements they are time to time they are giving to the country. They are intention fully trying to ignite the communal passion in the country, but no law and order take any course against these people. But Akbaruddin Awaisi, Mr. Asaduddin Awaisi immediately are arrested. Unless you take bilateral action against such people, nothing will happen.
Every day they are making inflammatory statements every day, provocative statements every day. They can be put behind bars.
Mr. Togaria, Mr. Ashok Singhal.
Can I just say one thing? I assume that most rational people will say that, look, extreme comments on all sides are wrong. If Akbaruddin Owaisi or anybody else is making inflammatory comments, those should be condemned. Those should be condemned by you.
He is condemned and he also has been arrested.
Yes, and Prem Shukla, if other comments in the BJP, if comments are coming from the other side which are objectionable, which are aimed at another section of Indian, those should also be condemned. I just am trying to figure out why this more clear-cut direct
condemnation. We move a little ahead. In terms of unleashing the communal forces and things like that, I think that's an assessment. He's independent to make that. I don't agree with that. So I'm not accepting that comment at its face value. The second issue is, I think what Mr. Modi is, nobody is willing to look at, and there's a whole section of people, and they're entitled to do so, not willing to look at Mr. Modi except how they wanted to see him. But what Mr. Modi has been speaking, and you will see consistently after the elections, is a side that many of them didn't even know that Mr. Modi speaks like that. When Mr. Modi became the Chief Minister of Gujarat, when all the big allegations were happening, how much did you see Mr. Modi communicating then also? He said, I'm going to let my work speak. And that's exactly how this man is. He's going to let his work speak.
What you're saying is not entirely wrong. And I think when Modi came to power, there's been a surprise in a couple of areas. Mr. Modi himself has been nothing but conciliatory since he's taken over as Prime Minister. He himself has not made any remarks that could be misconstrued by anybody, not him personally. But at the same time, what is also a surprise is that he's not been more direct in silencing other people or in communicating more that this is the message that I have.
Well, I think in terms of standard, have we seen the same thing? Did we ever see it, say, from Mrs. Gandhi or Dr. Manmohan Singh? The Prime Minister is there to govern. And as we've got the challenges, what I'm saying is the focus is on the work. This is virtually, yes, I'm not saying that these kind of comments are good, but this is noise. This has nothing to do with the real work.
And the real work, noise, if you don't communicate, the noise takes over.
This is the problem, is that he has not done the real work done. And look, there is clearly a higher bar for Mr. Modi on these communal issues because of the concerns of the minority community, but there's also a higher bar on him on getting the actual work done. He's sort of disappeared. So he's not really communicating, and that's because we're not really seeing the work get done.
There are those who will say that getting work done and fixing governance is not about the big statements. It's not about saying, oh, here are the big bang announcements.
Sure.
It's actually going and fixing things like bureaucracy, implementation, delivery mechanisms, are people coming to work. And that's the sort of stuff which is getting done in the background away from the glare.
There is great hope for this government. There's a huge burst of foreign investment that's come into India. They are getting the files out of the ministry, so there's a lot of sort of background work that's being done with the bureaucracy. That will get you through the next year and a half. But this government has to reform labor laws. It has to reform land laws. It has to do some of the big...
Doesn't it take more than 50 days or 60 days to do that sort of stuff sometimes?
Yes, although it's not like it's not been known forever that these things have to get done. And so the reforms that have been announced so far have been so tepid. Look, I think you're right. It's early. I think there is time. But the clock is ticking, and you really, for big bang reforms in a government, you've got 2 years, and then you're
Well, absolutely.
done.
So you've got 50 days minus from that 2 years. Can we wait till the next budget? That's really how I look at it. The first major budget that comes is the next one.
Can I intervene for a moment? Yeah. I would like to say, with due respect to Nalin, that I do agree with Shiv totally that Mr. Modi, during the elections, unleashed forces which are going to go beyond his control, and he should have been wise enough to see right next door to our neighbor what is happening in Pakistan. They unleashed forces from the time of Zia-ul-Haq which they cannot control today. Number two, let me take on Mr. Gardner. Mr. Gardner, unlike what you people think in the US.
Who is the force who's equivalent to Hafiz Saeed?
Yes, I'm talking about those. I'm talking about the Al-Qaedas and the Hafiz Saids and all those people.
So Mr. Prem Shukla is the equivalent of Hafiz Saeed, are you saying?
I did not say that. I said he unleashed forces.
So who are the forces? Tell me. I'd like to know too.
That they could certainly be these forces too. There are several more forces. Do you want me to take more names?
Certainly. I want to know.
There's Giraj Singh, there's the Sangeet Som, and there are millions like these. But let me go to the other point. In India, we do believe that unless...
overstating the case.
No, I am not. In fact, it was the media which was overstating the case before the elections. In fact, you said...
Overstating the case in which way?
Against the then government. Mr. Manmohan Singh never spoke. He spoke very little.
He will
and every single... hang on, let me complete.
Mr. Shukla, I'm sure you want to say something, so do I. Let's hear him
Every single day, the media took a dig at Dr. Manmohan Singh.
Yes.
A prime minister does not.
We're now taking a dig at.
Okay. The point is but I still believe a prime minister does not need to speak every day, whether it's Dr. Manmohan Singh or Mr.
Dr. Manmohan Singh, we said once a year is a good idea.
Yeah.
That's all we were saying.
Yeah, fine.
We weren't saying every day.
But let me tell you, he spoke far more than once a year. If you want to go with an overstatement, you're most welcome to.
So you made a direct comment. I'm saying nobody said that he should speak every day.
No. So the second point that I want to
even about Narendra Modi, we are saying speak once in a while.
The second point that I'm trying to bring is that social unity in India is as important before bringing about economic progress. Economic progress or the big bang reforms that you're talking about cannot happen before social unity happens in India.
This is a serious point he said. He has said unleash the Al-Qaeda and he has said unleash the Hafiz Saeed. I'm sorry. By the same standards, have we unleashed? What kind of things are you talking about? India is a banana republic, as the former son-in-law said it. This is not exactly how India is running. Banana republic, the mango man and banana republic is not Mr.
Not a part
Vardaz.
of the Congress. We are
Well, I mean, what do you mean not part?
He lives
with Mrs. Gandhi. Absolutely.
He is not a part.
I mean, and I'm saying it absolutely.
We are not privy to the number of people who live in your house, in the houses of your ministers.
How dare you compare us to the Al-Qaeda?
Your home minister, your home minister did not have the courage to comment on the Maharashtra.
Well, I did not interrupt you. Did I interrupt you?
No,
did I interrupt you?
The fact of the matter is...
Did I interrupt you when you made these outlandish comments?
The point is that
did I interrupt you?
Did I interrupt you? Need to be countered totally.
Sorry, Mr. Kant.
Your home minister was outside Parliament when the press asked him, what do you have to say about Maharashtra Southern? He did not have the courage to say it.
I am not going to let this go ahead till I finish my point.
Yes, and if you make an
I'm going to make it straight.
point, I will certainly intervene.
That the BJP is harboring elements like the Al-Qaeda and Hafiz Saeed.
I did not say harboring. I said you have unleashed forces like that.
Exactly. So I will tell you bluntly, when people sleep hungry, they don't get governance.
And that is why the food security bill was brought, which you tried.
When people sleep hungry, hold on. When people sleep hungry and they go to bed with their children hungry, they do become Maoists, they do pick up the weapon because governance doesn't reach to them. And you have contributed in 55 years of Congress.
I'm very glad that the representative of the BJP is talking about the hungry.
I'm sorry to say, we've seen fascism in Italy. And I'm sorry to say that somewhere that
finance minister yesterday
is coming down from the very top of the Congress leadership.
He didn't say that. Actually, the finance minister told us to misquote the finance minister. Right, what he said. Okay, can I get everyone else?
That was the bottom line of it.
Prem Shukla, as one of the alleged forces that have been unleashed.
Hafiz Saeed, that's what you should call him in Mr.
I mean, that was my actually.
Well, I mean, exactly. That's what exactly Mr. Kant is calling the Shiv Sena.
Prem Shukla.
Oh, much worse, because the founder of the political party said Adolf Hitler is my idol and not Mahatma Gandhi.
Well, you've just
heard it. Much worse. Adolf Hitler is much worse. What are we talking about? Does this man know that his own founder said that Adolf Hitler is better than Mahatma? His icon is Adolf Hitler.
Let him answer.
You should say sorry for this. This is highly objectionable.
BJP's government sent its emissary to meet Mr. Hafiz Saeed.
I can't even go
in a very secret way.
I know.
They have relation. They have relation with each other.
If you want to say objectionable things, I can tell 5 things here. I really don't want to drop it.
Mr.
Vedic has nothing to do with the BJP.
Terrorist hold on.
By our Indian has nothing to do with it.
BJP
hold on. How is Mr. Vedic with the BJP? How is Mr. Vedic with the BJP? Do you believe what is said on the floor of the House?
What are we talking about?
Absolutely not. No, Mr. Kumar, you have got your 2 minutes of fame by adding another objectionable comment to what you were saying.
30 seconds of fame.
Okay.
May I come?
Let me just
because believe me, it will not be beyond 30.
My question is yes. Any Sangh Parivar came out against his meeting with...
What do you mean, Sangh? We have no time to really go.
Naturally.
One person got up in the morning, went out there. Well, okay, so I mean, have you... Well, I mean, I want to ask you... I'll ask you a straight question. Hold on. I'll ask you a straight question. And I'm saying it on the record. And which is what? And I'm sorry to say, the way you're trying to say Sangh Parivar, did we hear you as the Imam and a Maulana of the All India Imam Council say a thing about what Mr. Mulayam Singh Yadav said? Boys commit rape. Why? Because 3 of them were from where? In the Shakti. Did you all commend it? So therefore, don't communalize it.
We are against this.
Did we
exactly, and that's my exact point.
Why are we people who are against
can I just say one thing?
Enemy of our India and from India they
exactly
go there.
Exactly. So therefore, do you think we are standing with Vedic? Do you think we are standing with Mr.
Vedic? I don't have a louder voice than all of you. I need to learn from somebody else how to shout louder than everyone else.
Look, a chapati is not a grenade. So let's be careful about how we make comparisons. But I think the point you're making is important. The point he's making is the silences of the BJP have a grenade-like effect. That is, to a certain extent, they can be politically misread.
Okay.
And I think what I found interesting about Nalin is there seem to be 2 Nalins. One, utterly civil, rational, absolutely to the point. And the other, a rhetorical genius I'd rather not see. See, I I think to a certain extent, no, let's get back to the analysis.
No, sorry,
because without getting back to the analysis, this is going to be a mudslinging match.
Which role are you in now?
We need sensible debates. Because what is this? This becomes exactly what I was doing, is noise. Noise doesn't solve anything. And at the end of the day...
So glad we all agreed on
yes,
that.
I mean, but I'm saying that, absolutely.
Vikram,
and I think, you know what happens, the minute, and I'll say it without the doubt, if we are going to discuss riots, then we are going to discuss riots completely. So this is how it becomes. What the issue was, should there be this kind of thing, or the focus should be governance, which is what actually this country wants, and that's why you've seen such a massive change. So according to me, that's the focus, not the noise.
Can I just get in, Manish Tiwari and China on some of the broader issues that have been thrown up, especially on the issue of communication strategy. Let me just go to both of you. Manish, based on some of the statements that we have been seeing right now in the recent past, from sections, some from the BJP, some from other parties, I've been hearing many people in the Congress party saying that we are heading for some sort of an extreme culture. Is that a correct and a fair way to put it, or are these just a few stray comments that are coming in from a certain number of leaders?
The moment this government came into existence, you had the Minister of State in the Prime Minister's office talking about the repeal of Article 370. Then you had government reaffirming in Parliament that the Uniform Civil Code is back on the agenda of the Bharatiya Janata Party. After that, you had disparaging statements about the minorities coming from the Vishwa Hindu Parishad. Subsequently, you had this atrocious behavior by the Shiv Sena MPs with a staffer in Maharashtra Southern. Then you had the unprovoked attack on one of our badminton players by another Telangana leader of the BJP. And now you have all these developments which are taking place in Uttar Pradesh. So therefore, you know, there seems to be a pattern, there seems to be an attempt to polarize, to keep the communal pot boiling. And this is something which should worry all those people who believe in a pluralistic, multicultural and a multi-ethnic India.
No, so look, there's another view. There's another view which is being taken, that all that is happening is all of this is just small incidents which are being whipped up by the media for TRPs and whipped up by the opposition just to score brownie points. Now, you're saying that's not the case, and in fact, it's a concerted plan and strategy by the BJP to keep the communal pot boiling.
First of all, Vikram, these statements are not emanating out of the opposition. They are emanating out of members of the ruling party itself. And number two, if you look at it, this is a right-wing government, and therefore this is the DNA of the Hindu right. After all, isn't majoritarianism their DNA? Isn't Hindu Rashtra a part of their intrinsic ideological creed? So isn't this the government that we voted for? So what are you sensationalizing, or what is the media sensationalizing, or what is that the opposition is trying to make capital out of it? This is the Hindu right, this is their ideology, and this is what unfortunately this country has got itself into.
All right, China NC joining us now. China, please respond to what Manish is saying.
Please understand that the government is only doing one thing, which is working on its model of good governance and delivery towards that. Now, in a large country such as ours, one odd stray case where you have a certain kind of incident which needs to be condemned has been condemned by one and all. If there is a question of somebody showing an arrogance of being in a position of power, it's highly condemnable.
Okay. Manish?
You know, it is not only the pattern which I pointed. May I also point out that you have allies of the BJP in Goa talking about a Hindu Rashtra, saying that the Prime Minister of India will turn India into a Hindu Rashtra, which is a complete antithesis of what is constitutionally sanctified. And you do not even hear a whisper of condemnation, forget from the central leadership of the BJP or the Prime Minister, even from the Chief Minister of that state. So to say that these are straws in the wind, they are stray statements, they do not add up to anything at all. And the polarization which is being attempted in Uttar Pradesh today as we speak, with all those yatras being planned, you know, obviously are not straws in the wind. And so therefore, I do not buy that argument, with all due respects to China.
I'd like to see how many times have you commented about your great ally called the NCP that talks about urinating and shows an absolute arrogance of power. We, unlike you, have come on record to say that no matter who the person, whether it's a member of parliament or an MLA or for that matter even a corporator, should not express any kind of arrogance or aggressiveness in public life, and that's a stand we maintain. But if you maintain that we should take action for a political party, I think it's absolutely unfair. And what is the big issue? The issue is that you have constantly said, as in, when I say you, I'm talking about the opposition now, has constantly tried to suggest that we are inflicting or imposing our views on others. Where are we doing that? We are in fact saying we welcome every single opinion on every single issue, be it the issue in Maharashtra Southern, be it the issue about Sania Mirza, be it the issue about what the minister in Goa said.
Shana, let me just ask you a direct question that I was asking Manish a little earlier. A little earlier, the BJP had a winning game. You had Narendra Modi directly communicating with the people, directly talking to the nation. Every Sunday, in fact, there used to be a speech. We used to hear Narendra Modi speaking. And the BJP very correctly and successfully criticized the former Prime Minister for never speaking and for never communicating. Are you, in a sense, so I'm sort of wondering why you would not have a situation where Prime Minister Modi would not come out now and make some direct comments saying, look, I dissociate myself from all of this. Can we please keep our focus on the right things? Let's get governance continuing. Can people stop making crazy comments? Why can't we hear direct communication like that?
Let me ask you a reverse question, Vikram. Why is there a need for the Prime Minister of this country to talk about a brawl that takes place in Maharashtra Southern, or for that matter to be participative on a public opinion of who a national icon should be?
No, but okay, let's set Mr. Modi aside. You could have other members of the BJP saying on the floor of Parliament and taking action. Some of the statements that were made on the floor of Parliament. You could have the BJP top leadership coming out and not just saying, oh, we condemn what it is, but actually taking action, maybe suspending that MP for a period of a month or 2 months. Immediately everything would change.
What makes you think, Vikram, that we as an organization don't introspect about any kind of behavior of the smallest of small karyakarta to the biggest of big leader? Obviously, there is an introspection that takes place and we don't subscribe or adhere to it. If at all, we condemn it. In large organizations, if you have one odd stray case, it's dealt with at the organization. You can't expect the Prime Minister of this country to respond to some propaganda which is even imposed or questionable and which has a lot of question as to the authenticity of it. So I think that you need to appreciate that we have never subscribed to an aggressive form of governance. We have always said that you need to be humble, and we accept that this is a mandate given to us on leadership, stability and progress, and that's all we're interested in doing.
Okay, Manish, I know you have to leave. Some final thoughts from you.
Well, Vikram, all that I would like to say is that your fundamental assumption is wrong. That, these are a bunch of loonies, or this is the lunatic fringe, or these are a bunch of crazies who've been shooting their mouths off. Make no mistake, this is the DNA of the Hindu right, which is what the BJP is representative of. What you've seen in the last month is actually the trailer. The movie, unfortunately, is still to come, and I shudder to think as to what would happen of India, once that movie actually starts playing itself out.
The movie is going to be a super hit, Mr. Manish Tiwari, and I'm sure you'd want to watch it repeatedly.
Well, in the sense, I do hope, it is a super hit, but not a super hit in terms of, what happened earlier in history, and the world had to pay a very heavy price for it.
Okay, so which movie do you think we are about to see rolling out, Manish?
Vikram, as I see it, I do not see them as stray statements. I see it as a pattern of authoritarianism, a pattern of majoritarianism, a pattern of intimidation, and unfortunately an assault on the multicultural ethos of India. If at this point in time you would like to give them the benefit of doubt, which I would also like to give them, that this is a bunch of loonies, then you and I can be each other's guests or each other's apologists.
All right, fine. So, Nalin, Manish Tiwari saying that we are about to see, we're just seeing the trailer of a really vicious, brutal movie that is about to be unleashed upon this nation.
Well, he's actually, beyond being a lawyer, assumed 2 more roles today. He's become a genetics expert because he spoke of DNA, and he's now speaking about being an astrologer. He's predicting the future. He should have predicted what was going to happen in the election under the glorious leadership of the party. And with regard to the DNA comment, I think if I want to take the same analogy, now borrowing it from him, then corruption is in the DNA of the Congress. From 48, you had the Jeep scam, Mundra scam, right up to TUG, Colgate, CWG. So, I mean, this kind of fixed statements don't work. What they do not have an answer to is what's the governance we will provide. And the governance that we provide will be seen only after we provide the governance. You can't predict it. So, therefore, the government's intent has to be seen with what the government says. Leave everything else. Because there could be anything. The government, what it does, is what the people will judge it.
Fine. I'm going to take a break right now. I'm going to come back to all of you for some more thoughts when we return. After the break, I want to get the audience in as well.